Okay, so this is Brimster, and today I'm going to start trying something new. So this is me restarting a campaign I've done using a D&D campaign where you play solo using the Solo Adventurers Toolbox, which you can get from the DM's Guild, which is a series of two books you can get to allow you to play D&D Solo where everything is randomly generated. And I created a couple of characters, which are these two characters, Romina and Vint. And I started off on an adventure and I got partway through it and I wasn't really happy with how it was going. So what I've decided to do is I was happy with the beginning and I've kept the opening concepts, which a lot were randomly generated. And then I'm going to continue through. And you'll get an idea of how it works as I play through. Now, I've decided to record this because why wouldn't I? And I'm probably going to throw this up on an unlisted playlist on my channel to share with people. Now, this is not going to have good flow or anything like that. There are times when I'm literally just sitting here going through books and figuring out what's going to happen next, or I'm creating stuff that I need and everything. I'm making this up as I go along. So what I'm going to try and do is figure out how this works. This is probably going to be incredibly boring, but I was having fun doing it and I thought I might share it with people because some people had expressed interest. I was chatting to some of my friends about it and they said, I'd love to watch that. So why not? And if I get 3 views, cool. If I get 0, also cool. So yeah, so let's just go into what I've done. So the way it works is that everything is randomly generated, and you'll see how this works. So Romina is a first level human fighter. She's quite young, and I perceived her as a small girl who has just started going out into the world. Vint, however, they're all level 1, so they're just going out into the world. Vint is a druid, and I've set up some different tabs here. The first one is the character sheets where I've got all of the basic stats. I'm not going into a lot of detail. I will add detail as I need it. I'm also going to be freeforming, like I've mentioned here, design concepts for the campaign. So I like a heroic low stress game, so I'm going to be playing in a slightly more powerful mode. I haven't done that yet. Character stats are going to be slightly higher. These were randomly generated and I didn't manipulate them at all, but they may go up as things happen. Characters get maximum hit points per level. That is something that is recommended for this, and use healing surges is also recommended for this. I'm going to play with this as I go. I'm going to have no problem rolling back. I'm going to have no problem fudging dice rolls or whatever to make this fun. The whole point about this is it's supposed to be fun. But these are the character sheets. The next tab I have is my journal, which is where I'm tracking everything that's happened. I've recopied the journal, and this is a copy of my original journal in a separate directory, and I've deleted everything after the opening. And then I've also got another one, which is my Roll20 page, where I've created where I can create maps and everything, and I've got a token for Romina and a token for Vint. So as things happen, I can draw maps directly into here. And hopefully you'll see that happen. So anyway, Romina was a farm girl working on the farm with her parents and 2 brothers. They died to a mysterious illness, and Romina doesn't know what happened. She tried to keep working on the farm on her own, but it was too much for her. And the whole point is to keep this a bit like a computer game. Keep it simple, and it doesn't matter if it's not hyper realistic. The whole point is just to have fun. She spent the last year trying to work on the farm on her own, has made a couple of makeshift swords out of her own farming tools, practicing with them constantly, continuing the trainer her father had started giving her. She's a level 1 fighter, but she doesn't have good equipment. She's made her own padded armor, but she knows it's not enough. A few weeks ago, a childhood friend of hers, Vint, was travelling by, having started out on his journey into the world, having completed his apprenticeship as a druid. So the way I'd thought of him was Vint. I don't have as much detail on Vint, and I never fleshed it out. I figured I'd flesh it out as I went through, but Vint was a druid, and the whole concept of his druid circle is we will teach you the basics, but you need to do the rest on your, not the rest, but you need to do at least the beginning of your journey on your own and find your own way to connect with nature, and then you'll come back and we will grow together with what you've learned. But if we tell you what to do, you won't be able to teach us anything, and the whole way we grow as a circle is that you come and teach us stuff based on what you've learned. But if they don't want to sort of predefine his notions. And he found her and trying to struggle. So they've spent some time trying to sort of gather the crops and gather the final chickens that had survived and everything. And now they're heading off to the local town. Now, Romina is wanting to sell some of the final crops and everything. I didn't have any details about how they're traveling or anything. In the last one, she basically took the last mule, and they went off and they found a small hobbit town that was quite insular and scared of big people, and these are both humans. Vint is, I picture Vint, and I'm not going to change this, as a very, very tall, dark-skinned druid who sort of blends in with nature a little bit, and Romina as a small, very, very muscular girl, and they're both probably in their late teens. And she is incredibly sort of hefty because she's done everything on her own and she's used to being on her own. And I don't really have much more beyond that for this particular game. So she's going into town. She's got to find the local town of which she knows nothing. Her father had never told her much about it, and she's not sure why. She's got to sell the farm's goods to try and raise some money to sort of do something. She knows she can't look after the farm on her own, so can she sell it? She's really not sure. And she wants to find, as a long-term goal, she wants to find out what happened to her family. That's all I've got. I have no maps or anything. What I have created is I've literally created a map in Roll20, which is kind of a world map, which basically has the farm slap bang in the middle. Nothing else. I know nothing else about the world at all, because everything else is going to happen by me rolling dice and generating randomly. So we'll call this section Journey to Town. And I'm literally going to start by rolling dice. So I'm going to open my dice tray, which are beautiful level up dice, beautiful aluminium dice, which I use. And I've got on my second screen some books, and I'm going to turn around. I'm just going to start with in which direction is the town? And I'm going to roll a d8 for compass points. So the town is to the west. So she's going to journey west. So I'm going to go back to here. As I said, this is going to be slow and probably not a lot of fun for people, but this is what I want to do. And I'm still getting used to this tool. I've not used it as much as I wanted. Why can't I find my... This has stopped working. Here we go. I just had to reload the page. So the town is to the west. How far to the west in days is it? So there's a system in this called the Oracle, which and the way the Oracle works is you ask yourself a question, and then there is a method of doing it. So it's basically how far away is it? Is it? I reckon it's going to be sort of 1 to 4 days away. So I'm just going to roll a d4. So I'm going to pull out my d4, if I can get it out of my dice tray. I'm just going to roll a d4, and it is actually 4 days away. So, yeah, 4 days is a lot. Last time it was not that. I'm actually going to drop that to 3. Actually, I'm going to drop it to 2. So I'm going to call it 2 days away, and I'm going to put let's draw a rectangle. And I'm going to, I don't know, let's just for now make it blue. And I'm just going to put over here, and I'm just going to put the town. I'm just going to put a label on it, text, and it's an unknown town, and it's 2 days away. So I go to the journal and I go, the town is 2 days to the west. And all I'm doing is I am marking information as I get it. It doesn't have to be detailed. I'm not writing this as a story. So she's now got to travel, or they now have to travel for 2 days. So, is it likely that they're traveling mostly across country? So if I look at the Oracle system, I think it's likely that they're mostly traveling across country, because this was not a journey that was taken very often. So I'm going to ask that, is it mostly across country? And the answer is just a straight yes. So they're going to be traveling across country. So traveling across country. And I'd already determined, and I'm going to keep this. So no roads and the area is mostly plains and slight hills. Now, there is a thing in the book for rolling how often you get encounters. So I go to the travelling section, and this is the bit that you're going to see most of, which is how much. So, yeah, so it's travelling about, so you travel about 24 miles a day by book, according to what they say here. I'm going to call it about 30 miles away. So I'm going to say it was about 30 miles. In fact, I'm going to say, actually, yeah, I'm going to say it was about 30 miles because my first roll was quite high. Now, what season is it? So let's just roll a die and see what season it is. It is currently spring. So, actually, no, it makes sense that it was autumn because she's just tried to pull out the. Oh, hang on, what time? I don't know how crops work. So, yeah, let's say it's spring. So it is spring. So and this was basically when she had to do things. No, actually, it would be autumn, wouldn't it? So it's autumn. And she's travelling. So let's just roll a d20 to see just what the weather is like. And it's very hot. It's hot weather. So it is. So she's travelling in the heat, travelling on hot days. So it's actually quite difficult to travel. So is there anything with that? Not needing any of this. Sorry, it's been a couple of bits since I've done this. Page 57 might be what I want here for wilderness. So travelling over, it's not desert, it's not forest, it's basically travelling over grassland. Now, there was something I found, and I'm trying to. There's a lot of tables in these books, so I'm trying to remember where I need to find the different things because I'm still learning the system. So, because as soon as I turn things on camera, turn on the camera, I forget how everything works, because that, of course, is how it works. There was a thing for how often you would encounter something, and I don't necessarily need to track. So it's a low population density area. So you roll. So what we do is it's going to take 2 days to travel. So what we're going to say is she travels. There's 2 days and 2 nights. So on the first day, she actually has an encounter of some type. So in the afternoon of the first day, in the afternoon of day 1, an encounter. So the question is, what sort of encounter is it? Wilderness encounters. Let's do this. Let's just roll a D100 and use, for now, let's just use the basic table. 83. Now, there are ways of generating different things, but at the moment, for just starting, I'm just going to do. The landscape on the side of a gently sloping hill has been marked with white chalk to resemble the outline of the beast. The land carving may have been here for millennia. So on the side of a hill, encounters or finds a drawing of a beast on the stone of a rock face. So let's just do that now. So is there something weird about this? I think it's unlikely there's anything weird or important about this, but let's roll the die and find out. So it's an 18, but it was unlikely. So that brings it down to a 15, which I think by the Oracle is still a yes. So if I go to the improved Oracle, a 15 is still a yes. So there is something about this that is weird. Now, one of the options I've got here is there is a keyword table. Oracle says something important about this. So what I'm going to do, and I may not be doing this the way that the book specifically says, I'm just doing what feels good to me to make this flow. So I'm going to go to the keyword table, and there you roll basically between 1 and 800 to see what keywords are relevant. And I'm just going to note some keywords. Hopefully this is all on the screen. Until something jumps out at me as being relevant. So 475. So 475 is sundered. Well, sundered. So possibly this means that the cliff face has been exposed and the drawing wasn't, like it had been hidden and something's happened to expose it, maybe? 229. So 229 is crack. Well, that kind of makes sense. So obviously this has been exposed recently. So the rock face has been hidden and has only been exposed recently due to something that has happened. This might actually cause Vint to get some attention because of the drawing of the beast. So what sort of beast is it? Actually, that's an interesting question. So let's do a random beast. I think there is a way of generating that. So what I want is page 115, I think. I want beasts. So we're not on coastal, not desert, not dungeon or underdark. I thought it's not forest. Grassland plain. So let's do... So what challenge rating is the beast? Let's make it something that could be a bit interesting. So let's do a D6. Where's my D6 gone? Where is my D6 gone? There it is. And I will use 0, half, quarter, or 0, 8, quarter, half. Actually, yeah. So the fourth table, which is a half. So it's a CR half, so we roll a D12 and see which one it is. So the beast... No, that's not going to work. No, that's not going to work either. Is there by type? No, it doesn't seem there is, which is a bit weird. I've never actually generated by type before. Oh, they might be here. And this is boring as heck, I'm sure, but this is what I'm doing for fun. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, weird. No. Here we go. By yeah, this is by environment, but it's not telling me by type. It's easier to find stuff in this one by scrolling. So there's no a grassland plain. That's what I want. So I wanted a CR half. It's the same thing. This is not going to work. Boringest video ever. And this is me learning the system though. That's race generation. I thought I'd... Here we go. Let's do a creatures. Whoops, that's not a D20. That's a D20. So 16 plus 5 is 21. It was a giant owl. Exposing a drawing. So, drawing of a giant owl. So there's a giant owl drawn on the face of the rock. Interesting. Now, let's go back to the keywords table and see what else might be relevant about this. Because there's more than it being a giant owl that is relevant. So I want my D800. So that's 82. So the next word is illusion, which I don't know if that's relevant. Let's see if something else jumps out at me. 139. Equipment. So it's recently been exposed. Illusion equipment. I think is I don't want it just to be she finds stuff. That seems weird. I mean, it's the sort of thing that would happen in a computer game, and I do want this to have I do want this to have a computer game feel, but I don't. So let's see if something else jumps out. I don't want to go too much longer. If this doesn't pan into anything, I'll stop. 297. 297. 297 is structure. So maybe there is something hidden inside. So maybe she's about to have her first adventure. So what we will do is we're going to have Vint examine it. And is it likely that there's a secret door or anything here? So with it being a structure or anything, I'm going to just call it a neutral oracle roll, that there is a secret door or something here that, is there something? 4. So a 4 on a neutral roll, I'm pretty certain was just a no. Improved oracle. Yeah, it's just a no. So this used to be a location. Used to be a location, but has been damaged, but has been lost, and the entrance is blocked beyond passage, and it's destroyed. All that is left is the drawing on the cliff face of the owl. So at this point, we're just going to say things move on. They travel and they will rest for the night, and then I've got to find does something happen in the evening table again, because I forgot where that was. because I've moved around a lot, and this is something that'll happen. As I do this more, I do remember where things happen, and I get faster at finding the tables. Okay. So that's right, it was just a 25% chance. So they camp down for the first night. And do they decide to do it at that location? Because it's a place where... let's have Vint make a survival check to determine whether it's safe or not. And he will make a call. And if he... is it safe? I think it's likely. It is... Ooh. Ooh. That is a weird oracle roll. That's a 20 on the oracle roll. It is safe. So Vint does a check to determine if it's safe. Vint does a... is it a safe place to camp and find shelter? Yes, and... So the 20 with a means that there's a yes and. So you want to add something to the yes to make it interesting. And this is where the illusion may come in. So they camp down and find shelter. So I'm going to do... so they camp down for the first night at the rock face. So... is it likely that this is... So I'm literally just going to do a D20 roll as to, is this a good or a bad thing? So the lower it is, the worse it's going to be for them. 17. This is a good event for them. So what... is it going to be something like the moon does something that exposes it? And this is really, really silly, but it's kind of, as I said, it's the video game high fun thing. So, is it something like the moon exposes the door? Let's ask the oracle. No. So it's not like that. Is it something like an owl comes by? Yes, and. So, during the night, a large owl comes by and lands in their camp area. Okay, is this a druid? Yes, and... the owl sits near them, and Vint is surprised when the owl changes into a humanoid. Something he has seen before. Does he recognize this person? 5, no. But he does not know this druid. So, now the question is, what is going on? So let's do a keyword table. So, keywords. Let's do another D800 roll. 224. 224. Thick. Not sure what thick means, but we might be able to get something else. 541. Sarcophagus. And I'm not going to worry too much about spelling, though it's not complaining. It is complaining. There we go. 551. Wow, rolled right next to it. Nobility. So maybe this location is a place that is heavy with druidic ritual, and it the reason it's here is this person actually dead? Like, is this a powerful druid that has died and this is their spirit? Let's ask the oracle. I think it's unlikely, but let's ask the oracle. No, no, and so oracle says this druid is not a dead spirit. So is it someone who is looking after the gravesite of the druid? Oh, yes, and it is someone who is protecting the grave site of an old druid. So is this part of them doing their sort of different druids do a term of service looking after the grave, or is it something else? It's something else. So are they waiting for a particular event? 14, yes. Waiting for a particular event. Is this going to be Vint getting something, or something like that? Like, is this going to be the start of the video game? You have come along, brave adventurer, and it is your time to collect the... I'm cool with that, because this was side of the face. I mean, it's like you journey out and the first thing you do is you find a thing and you are given an item of power or something. Cool. I mean, it was completely random that there was a giant owl on a rock face with a beast, and then there was like all of this has been random dice. So this could have gone anyway. It could have been like traveling minstrels or anything. So I have no problem with this happening, because as I said, I like a heroic campaign. I want that video game feel. So if whatever. So how do I want to do this? I kind of want to take it in that direction, but I'm trying to see if there's something I can do. I'm going to roll on the table again to see if it leads in that direction or not. So I'm going to roll on the keyword table. 288. So 288 is storm. Not sure about storm. Let's try something else. 265. Man, I'm rolling in the 200s a lot. 265 maximum. No, not sure. Let's try again. 359. Sleep. So there's a noble druid here. It's the grave. So the site is. So the site is the site is the grave of yeah. I've already got that. It's the grave of a noble druid. Is this the event that the druid is waiting for? I think it's unlikely, but I'm going to roll anyway. 13. So I think that makes it a maybe, because with the unlikely, 10 is a maybe, a skill check or a reroll. So the druid, the guardian, the druid, I should come up with a name. So let's do a random name generator. There is a fantasy name generator and I didn't load it. That's not what I wanted. the druid, who introduces herself as Turnin, says that grave is for, or is to give a boon to a druid who comes at the right time and with the right heart, or the right motives. The timing is correct for the phase of the moon, but Vint needs to prove that he is of the right motives. Now, this is going to be a skill check. Now, what skill would be appropriate for this? So this is where, and I said, I may not have said it on video, but I've said this to myself, I am planning on using a lot of books for this, because I like the physical books and I haven't used them as much recently. So I need around here, so the skills, I don't think it's going to be insight. It could be, yeah, I think it's just going to be a raw nature check. So, Vint has nature at +2 only, because Vint is not that smart. So Vint is going to make a nature check. So Vint needs to make a nature check. Is this going to be a hard check? Yes or no? It's going to be a very hard check. So let's say DC 15. So DC 15 is actually quite hard for this level character, so he's making a check, and Vint rolls an 11 and fails. So Vint fails the check, rolling an 11. Turnin says, tells Vint that he is welcome to stay here and provides food, but that he is not the one that the druid, that the place is waiting for, at least not yet. They rest overnight, and Turnin wishes them a good they rest overnight, Turnin watching over them, and they travel off the next morning. Now, I may not have stated this, but I do for myself. What I do is I roleplay the character's motivations, but I tend not to roleplay out just like, saying this, at least when I play solo. I do that when I play in a group. So, does Turnin do anything particularly nice for them? No. So, wasn't the right thing. So that is the next one. So let's call this the druid gravesite, and I have not set this one up correctly, so I need to make this slightly larger. I will make that a green, I will make that bold, and I'll make that heading 3. Okay, so that's the druid gravesite, and then they travel on for the second day, where they will arrive in town. Do they have an encounter before they arrive in town? Yes, they do. So, encounter before arriving in town. And we'll call this another heading 3 because I don't know what it is yet. So this is the way I tend to play it out. And it's just an interesting thing where it's like I wasn't expecting the Druid Graveside. I don't know what this encounter is going to be. Do I want to roll it as just a wilderness encounter again? I don't think I do. I think with this one, because I'm closer to the town, I'm literally just going to roll some keywords and see what happens. Because rolling specific things on a table of just 100 encounters, I find it feels a bit weird and a bit specific, although this went in a very weird direction. Like it started off with there is a drawing of a beast on a cliff face, and it ended up with a druid monument with a dead druid. So 463. So keywords. Keywords. 463 is subliminal. Okay, subliminal what? Okay, 434. Diversion. Okay, this is starting to feel a bit weird. 66. Curiosity. Wow. Okay, I may need to start knowing something about the town. 492. Because this is starting to feel like it could be something like Scouts from the Town rambling. Okay, I'm starting to feel that this could be Scouts from the Town or anything that are trying to sort of figure out what's going on and who these people are because they don't know it, and they're trying to sort of let's find out something about the town. I think that might make this work. So, this feels like it's because they're very close to the town, potentially someone from, I can't spell because someone from the town trying to figure out what is going on. Okay, so let's find out something about the town. Journey to town. So what is the town? So town. Let's call this a heading 1. So let's go to, there was somewhere where it was literally just a bunch of predominant races for towns, and I'm trying to remember which book that was in, because as I said, there's 2 books for this. I remember what it was. It was in this book, and I want urban generator. So the first thing I want to know is the size of the town, I suppose. But there was something about predominant race. Okay, so let's see how big is the town. So let's roll a d8. It's a town, so town. So town of, so it's 1,500 to 6,000 people. So it's quite a large town. The predominant, so it has a main race. But I don't know what that race is. And it's like 70% with a mix of other races. And it says that 25% certain races excluded from governmental positions. So heavy race bias. Right. Is this like one dominating race? Oh, absolutely. So one dominating race. Okay, so where do I find a race? So there was an NPC generator or something. That might be a good place to do it. NPC generator, page 98 of book 1. So let's roll the race. Let's just Yeah, let's roll main race. So this is easy. Dwarf. Okay, so it's a dwarvish town. So it's a dwarf town. Okay, so does this mean it's above or below ground? Oh, maybe this is why it's like not an overthing area. Maybe it's a predominantly underground, and she finds the town is going to be underground. Is this the case? So is it an underground town? Yes, yes it is. So underground town. So the local town is underground, which might be why her father didn't take her there, because they're above dwelling people, and the local town is fully underground, and she didn't know about this. So there's only small amounts of people above ground. So she's actually close to the town and may not even know about it. Like, does she even know that she's at the town? Like, is there many? There's Okay, so there are signs of the town. So there are starting to be signs, and this is why there's the encounter. Subliminal. There's a subliminal signs that stuff is going on, and this is hence curiosity and diversion. So there are starting to be signs that there is a large population around, but it's not what either Romina or Vint expected. Okay, so that's an interesting thing. So what's the alignment of the town? So let's just roll a D100, and the higher it is, the higher it is, the more evil it is, but you have to roll really high for it to be evil. Okay, it's quite an evil town. Quite evil. Like, because what I'm wondering is, with a heavy dominating race, is it that the dwarves are actually keeping the, and I'm saying dwarf, but it could be Durgar or whatever. But it's a dwarf. I mean, I'm happy for races to be different alignments. And in the previous version of this, Romina, and I'm happy to keep this as well, Romina had actually gone like wasn't a good deed sort of character. She was like a what's in it for me character with everything that had happened to her. So having an evil based character actually kind of works. Like, you don't do that for a big group based D&D game, but in a solo game you can kind of do that because there's no sort of ramifications. You're not trying to convince other players. The only person I have to convince is me. Hamilton quote. Anyway, so were the dwarves like, do the dwarves actually enslave the other races, and that's why her father was the only one who took there? Oh, that could be interesting. That might be like why her farm could be a problem to sell and everything. How? Yes, and okay. So wow. Okay, so the dwarves own everything around here, and her father didn't want Romina to know that their entire family was working for the dwarves, basically as slaves. Fortunately for her family, they were trusted enough to have some autonomy, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Okay, so she's about to encounter the dwarves for the first time and find all of this out. Okay, I'm actually going to pause there because it's been a while, see how this goes and see how this runs as a video. Yeah, that's really cool. And then I'll have to figure out what the encounter before arriving in town is. So next up, what is the encounter before arriving in town? And I could record this afternoon or in just a couple of hours. I don't know. We'll see how this all goes. If anyone is watching this, I hope you're enjoying it. This is a very weird system. And I will do combat and stuff at some point, but I'm just having fun. Thanks, everyone.